Welcome back to Bill's Bets and Beers. I got a special guest here, Jaguars United. He's been doing stuff for a couple years now, so I was glad to get him on the channel. Um, yeah, let's bring him in right now.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Not much.
Pretty much a home game coming up for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I don't know which is worse, being there for a week or only being there for a couple days. I don't know which one.
Exactly. I mean, when I saw it on the schedule, I was like, man, it's supposed to be a Bills home game. You guys are gonna be there for 2 weeks. I know they're not going home.
I was happy to see that it was in London and not in Buffalo. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at that Dolphins game, and that was a blast.
Oh, I bet.
Oh my God. Was not expecting it being that far out, but yeah. Let's just jump right into this. So I got a little thing like behind enemy lines. I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
About your fan base, fandom, just so we have a perspective from you guys, so we know what you guys kind of think in general. Coming into this year and throughout this first 4 weeks, which player on the Jaguars has really like popped out the most, like surprised you the most, like in a positive way? Like you're like you kind of knew something might happen, but then he just actually blew up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The Jags are an interesting spot where like a lot of the national media doesn't really pay much attention to us. So players can be good here and they don't get a lot of notoriety. Like we have Tyson Campbell, the corner that we have is one of the best corners in the league, and no one really ever talks about him. And he doesn't really get a lot of notoriety. So he's been really good this year, but Jags fans have known he's been good. Obviously Trevor Lawrence is good, but the guy who really took a huge step this year was our Josh Allen. And he has been good, but like this season, he's been one of the best edge rushers in the league. So it's his contract year. So he picked a good time to kind of start popping off, but he's been looking really good through the first 4 games.
Real hard in this off season, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's awesome here. I figured it was him, but yeah, that corner's interesting. Has he been on there for a couple years now, or is he like a second year guy?
He was drafted in that Urban Meyer draft with Trevor Lawrence, and he was the 2nd round pick that year. Actually, the same draft we got Andre Cisco in the 3rd round, who's another player who's been really, really good this year. He grades out as a top safety in the league right now. So all of those guys in that Urban Meyer draft. I mean, Walker Little, he took him in the 3rd round. He's grading out as one of the top tackles in the league. So that 2021 draft, but Tyson Campbell is just a monster. I mean, he eliminates like receivers from entire sides of the field. So we're really looking forward here in Jacksonville to our secondary, who's been playing really, really well, to go against the Bills receivers, because besides the Texans game, which I think caught everybody off guard, where we let the Texans kind of go off against us, besides that game, the Jags have been really, really good in this secondary and have been like pretty stifling when it comes to passing offenses.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. I mean, I don't know what it is with the Texans.
Me neither, man.
Hot and cold. It's just like, I don't know. It's like icy hot. They go icy for a little bit and then they come out hot the next time. And it's like, it's definitely gonna be. I think it's gonna be a fun game with the Jags Bills though, because like I said, your defense isn't any slouch, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I think Josh Allen's gonna have to play a big part for you guys.
Well, we started off so we had such high expectations for our team. Like we were talking about the Jags getting a potentially 1 or 2 seed in the AFC just because of the addition of Calvin Ridley. We didn't really lose anybody at all. We got Evan Ingram signed to a long-term deal. We were expecting like this team to be like the Bills are now. And so we kind of got off to a slow start. It kind of seems like things are kind of clicking. We get Cam Robinson back this week for off PED suspension. So that's going to help probably our weakest point, our offensive line. But it's hard as a big football fan to look at this game as like a game that the Jags are going to need some things to go right. I mean, they're going to need some turnovers. They're going to need some penalties on the Bills. They're going to need some like fluky stuff to happen because the Bills are just clicking right now. I mean, I would say the Bills are the best team in the NFL right now. I would say Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league right now. So We need some.
Even though, I mean, Nick Ray has a certain part where I just don't like him. He just, I laughed at his segment when he was like, like the King in September or something like September champs. I'm like, damn, it's so damn right. Because last September, it's like you can't not say it's not true because we just fizzled out at the end. But talking about how you guys have been doing, like you guys had a great year last year. Went into the divisional, went against the Chiefs, and that's a tough one to go into and come out unscathed and actually. But going off of that, like for general Jags fans, like in the community, like what would be like a disappointment to end this year on? Because I mean, the first year the Bills went for that, it was like, oh man, they made it to the division round, they faced the Chiefs. It's a hard win to get, but we're playing good now. We're getting along. We're getting to that point where we're gonna have tough decisions to make and things like that. But like, what would be a disappointment to at least what you think would be a disappointment, and what like the general like society of the Jags fandom would think?
I think most Jags fans would probably say that if we don't make the playoffs, it would obviously be a massive disappointment. Like I said, Jags fans had ambitions of winning the AFC this year. I mean, we thought if we had a team that could compete with the Chiefs, because in that game with the Chiefs, we're a Jamal Agnew fumble at the goal line away from that being a tie game at the very end. And us Jags fans, like we thought we had a decent chance of winning that game. So with the addition of Calvin Ridley, like I said, and literally bringing everyone back, we had no reason to think that we can't be a top team in the AFC. So making the playoffs is like goal number one. I think most Jags fans expect to win the AFC South. A lot of people are looking at the AFC South and saying that it's I saw one post, it was like the battle of the mid because we're all 2-2. But the Colts have been playing well. The Texans have been playing well. The Jags have had their moments. The Titans, that are kind of the wild card, we don't really know what to think of them. So the division is a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. But I would say most fans would be really disappointed if they didn't make the playoffs or win the AFC South.
I definitely get that. I had you guys winning the division because the only one that was going to come close was Tennessee, and that was depending how they did with D-Hop. But I mean, right now they're not going to. They're getting into it, but I mean, it is what it is. Indy's doing something, and that's very interesting how that's going. But I definitely saw you guys coming out on top of this division just with how everything's playing out for every other team. Just saw you guys. You're better than the Texans. Definitely better than Indy set up. And I think the only competition would be between Tennessee, and I think you guys just have an edge. So
where I stand now, and it's only week 4, and so I'm not one that's going to overreact to anything. But where I'm at now, I genuinely think the Texans are the next best team in the AFC South. I mean, they had the weird week 1 where they lost, but they've been playing really well. CJ Stroud has been playing really well. Those receivers are better than people thought. It seems like DeMeco Ryans has that team playing at a high level pretty quick. It seems like he's an effective, efficient coach. So I would honestly be most afraid of the Texans right now. They're a legit team, man. I mean, they really are. I mean, they beat us by like 20 points. They are someone to keep an eye on. I think maybe they'll hit the rookie wall with Stroud and Tank Dell and guys like that. And their team's still pretty young with Dameon Pierce only being in his second year. But that team, man, is like, and they beat us with 4 backup offensive linemen. And then they went and beat whoever they beat last week with 4 offensive linemen. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So they're the wild card to me. I'm not really scared of the Titans because they don't have a quarterback. I'm not scared of the Colts because I think they will be good. And with Jonathan Taylor coming back, there's really no telling what happens there. But I think Anthony Richardson is a year or 2 away from kind of clicking where he needs to be. But yeah, man, I don't know what to think of the Texans. Hopefully, as the season goes on, everything kind of levels out and evens out. And then we can kind of the cream will rise, hopefully.
No, I definitely agree. that's actually a good thing, a good point. Going into my next question is, how do you feel about Trevor Lawrence so far? I mean, he came into the league and his college play was supposed to immediately transfer into. It was like he was supposed to be the magical child coming in
Yeah.
and blow up the league the first
Yeah.
year, and then it's like year 3 now. He's finally coming in. He's playing well, but like, do you think he's like a franchise quarterback? Are you fully confident in that right now, or is it you want to see a good year this year and then you'll have a solid opinion? Because it's kind of similar with Josh Allen. It's like, but we didn't have any like there was no high praises for him in the beginning.
Right. It was a little different. Yeah.
But like for Lawrence, like he was kind of anointed with it before coming out of college. Like before the year even started, people knew he'd be a first round pick.
Yeah.
The first pick of the draft, so it's like a little bit of a different aspect. I just want to see your opinion on that.
Yeah, it's funny because there is a lot of similarities between Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence's game, like a lot. When we secured the #1 overall pick in 2020, I think Jags fans celebrated more in that moment than I've seen in a long, long time because it guaranteed us getting Trevor Lawrence. And Urban Meyer was here year 1, and that was a train wreck. I mean, the guy was just a train wreck. But after year 2, with his first year with Doug Peterson, you kind of saw it. You're like, oh, this is the guy that we thought. And then even now in year 3, I mean, his offensive line has been terrible. I mean, if you look at like the time to throw, Josh Allen is getting half of a second more than Trevor Lawrence is. So like the offensive line has been pretty poor for the Jags so far, but Cam Robinson was out. The second-year center, Luke Fortner, is not playing great. We kind of have a revolving door at left guard. But with Cam Robinson coming back, I think we're going to kind of solidify the offensive line more, and that'll give Trevor even more time to throw. And even with, I mean, the Trevor Lawrence, the Jags lead the league in drops, and their offensive line hasn't been good. And even with all of that, Trevor Lawrence's like stats and grades are still among the top of the league. So he's incredibly accurate. He makes big-time throws. He hasn't really pushed the ball downfield very much because he hasn't had time from the offensive line to really do that. But he's incredibly accurate. Last week, we saw him starting to run the ball more. And when he started doing that, he really slowed down the edge rushers. So I think if he's able to do that, but to answer your question, I don't think there's a single person in Jacksonville that doesn't believe wholeheartedly that he needs to be here for 10 years. He needs to be here for his whole career. I think he's that guy. I think he will be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL as long as he is in the NFL. I think he's that now. I mean, if you watch him and watch the throws he makes, I mean, the touchdown throw he had to Calvin Ridley last week was all him. He evaded an edge rusher who had a clear run at him. It sidestepped him and then threw the ball 40 yards like off his back foot. And it was just like he makes those throws all the time. And you're like, man, this guy's special. So now that he's in his second year with Doug Peterson, he's in his second year with Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones has been injured all year, but he's hopefully going to be coming back. Calvin Ridley. So Trevor's the real deal. He really is. And he's finally now starting to get the attention from the national media that he's deserved for a while.
No, he's definitely playing a lot better this year. And because before there's always people saying, well, he's not doing this, not doing that. But knowing Zay Jones, he's probably dropping a lot of those balls for you guys.
Yeah.
He was one of the players where I was really glad he got in the draft because his catch, they were saying he never drops the ball, and then he got to the NFL and it was like things just changed. I don't know what it was, but he's been playing well for you guys lately. Still, even with, I think he's still a great piece for you guys, especially across from Christian Kirk, and everything like that. And as long as he keeps his hands on the ball, he can get those routes done. There's no problem with that.
Well, the thing with Trevor, and I'll just add this last thing about Trevor, is like, because I do film breakdowns, so I rewatch the games multiple times after the game, and Trevor passes up easy check down throws to throw the ball into incredibly tight windows. Like, he trusts his arm. I call him the ballsiest quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't like to slide. He likes contact when he runs. He's not afraid to fit the ball in a tight window. And in the past, he'd throw interceptions, but Josh Allen, that's what I said. He's a lot like Josh Allen. He'll go for the throw because at the end of the day, the quarterback that trusts his arm and can make the big throws is going to win. So I'm kind of glad that he is that way. But that's where some people thought he might not have had the fastest start to his career because he was turning the ball over. But again, he trusts his arm probably a little too much.
It is like you said, it is a positive though, because
Yeah.
it's always nice to have that because it's very hit or miss. But when it hits, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got this comment. So it says, will the jet lag and like time difference play an impact on the Bills coming over there, and you guys being over there already for 2 weeks at this point? I think the energy we're bringing over there with Von Miller coming, I think everyone's they're just gonna be stacked. They're gonna be pumped with all this energy, and I think it could, but it's with just the energy coming with it. I think it's gonna be hard to drag it down. They're gonna either stay up all night and sleep before, or do something to figure this out. This isn't their first trip over there, so they kind of have an idea of similar. It's been a year or so, but they have an idea of what to expect now. At least as Sean McDermott does as a coach. So
I don't expect there to be any issues with the Bills at all. I mean, they're professionals. They'll go over there, like you said, they'll do what they have to do. They'll be ready for this game. The only jet lag I'm worried about is the Jags next week because they didn't get a bye week next week. So they're going to have to come back and so they're adjusting their sleep 3 times in 4 weeks. So hopefully that doesn't mess them up. But again, it's along the same lines with the Bills. They're professionals. If that messes them up, that's the least of their worries is getting is sleep. Like they got to worry about other things. So I think both teams, I don't think the jet lag will be that big of a deal.
Last question for you. And this is your just personal fandom. What is your game day superstition routine that you do? Where I used to not put a jersey on before the game started. I didn't like doing that. I'll never put it on because I want it during game time. But what's your superstitious routine that you have to do at a certain time or whatever?
So I think we're in 2 different boats here because I've been a Jags fan my entire life. I mean, when I was born, the Jags basically got announced to Jacksonville. So I've been a Jags fan my entire life. And we have seen few great seasons. Between those great seasons have been horrible seasons. I mean, the 2010s, but if you take out 2017, we won 10 games all decade, the entire decade. So we've had some bad seasons. We've had 2-win seasons. We've had 3-win seasons, 1-win seasons recently. So I basically have given up on superstitions because there's nothing that I can do that works. There was one season, I don't know what season it was, because I go to every game here in Jacksonville. And every game I'd go to, we'd lose. And then I would miss a game for some random reason and we'd win. So it got to the point on my channel where people were like, stop going to the game. Anytime you go to the game, we win. So we luckily, I think that might've been 2017. And I broke the streak for one of the playoff games, thankfully. So, but it was rough there for a second.
That's wild. Especially if you're going every game, your seasons at that point.
Yeah.
No way you're
that. There was a streak where the Jags had maybe 1 home win in 3 years, and I missed that game. And so the only game in that stadium I had seen was when the Team USA came and soccer team and played an exhibition game and they won. And I posted a picture. I was like, this is the only win I've seen in this stadium in 3 years.
You gotta make jokes when it hurts. You know what I mean? It's painful. So I'm gonna just jump into this injury report for us because it's not massive, but there's just small question marks because there's not many people who are just not playing this game. It started off weird for the Bills. I still don't like with Greg Russo being out 2 practices in a row. At this point, I'm guessing he's day to day. He hasn't practiced all week. I'm hoping for a limited maybe tomorrow, but I'm happy Jordan Poyer's playing now. He's full bore.
I mean, how many D linemen do y'all need? I mean, come on, quit being selfish.
We won't take them out. We need energy. That's what makes us thrive. But the big piece, I think, is that Christian Benford. It's a shoulder injury. If it's bad enough to keep him, he's been limited for 2 days now. I think they're probably trying to save it up and rest it. But we're already out white and if he can't get in there, he's been playing great.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, we're already gonna have to trust on Dane Jackson and Elam now. They're both gonna be available this game. They're both gonna be probably switching out, rotating as they can. But yeah, there's besides that on the Bills, I don't see Dawson Knox missing it with a quad. I think they're just resting it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, Dawson Knox was I wasn't sure about that because I mean, I know he hasn't been playing up to his expectations this year. And I mean, I mean looking because I'm a big PFF guy, and Knox and Kincaid's grades are like probably lowest on the team. So I know that they're not like thrilled with the play as of now. I don't know how much of that is injury for him. But you know, having some, you know, just getting any help we can get as Jags fans. I mean, honestly, I never want to see players injured. I would rather play, you know, a team at full strength. That's just the way I am. And I'm in the minority there, I think, but I want to see everybody play on both teams, you know? So I'm hoping everybody can play. I mean, I know like we got Devin Lloyd up in the air. Fatu Kasi's going to play. You know, getting Cam Robinson back helps a lot. We have a lot of guys, which I really don't know if they're going to play or not. We had quite a few people miss last game.
Receivers, I know, like Jay Jones and Jamal Agnew, they've been limited. Obviously, Agnew with the quad as well, and Jones with the knee. But like, I'm guessing they're just resting them to keep them somewhat healthy for the.
Well, they both didn't. Jay Jones hasn't played in a couple weeks. Agnew didn't play last week, so I don't. I mean, I hope they do. I don't think they would have traveled to London if they weren't planning on playing. You know.
Okay.
So, but who knows?
Because I know I mean, like every wide receiver crew, they only seat 5 usually, maybe 6. So missing 2 would be massive.
Yeah. Well,
especially pieces. I mean, you still have Christian Kirk, but if they're not in the field, then they can really just kind of zone in on Kirk and more. But I know Ingram is a bigger piece than most people think for that offense. Personally,
yeah, oh yeah,
bet on him always getting at least 3 to 4 catches every single game, and that's a minimum.
oh yeah, he's been.
He usually getting more towards 7, 8, realistic. But I mean, he's a good tight end to have in fantasy if you can.
Well, we talk about it on my channel all the time. He's not a tight end. He got such a raw deal on when he first got franchise tagged, getting tight end money because that dude's a wide receiver. I mean, I know he's a tight end technically, but he never lines up in line. He never lines up with his hand in the dirt. He's always split out as a wide receiver. So the fact that he's like labeled a tight end, it makes no sense to me. Like you said, I mean, he gets targeted more than most receivers do. You know, you could probably say the same thing about the Kelce's and things like that, but with Ingram, I mean, he's just a full blown wide receiver, and you know the fact that I mean, I don't understand. It doesn't really matter until you get into the franchise tag money, and that's when it does kind of matter because the tight ends don't make as much money as the receivers do in that situation, but. He's so valuable. And then another guy, which he's a rookie, we drafted him out of Penn State, Parker Washington. He might not play either, and he was like our 5th wide receiver. So we're down.
He's down the depth chart underneath like Agnew, but he's definitely I said, you can't be missing too many wide receivers,
right?
And it's not like you can make it up with like your running backs either. I mean, you have them, but you don't have as much passing running back as some teams.
Yeah, I mean, ETN can do it, but Tank Bigsby's kind of taking some time to adjust to the NFL speed. So we're using ETN more as a primary running back.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I have picked him up in fantasy. I haven't been surprised by the limited of no touchdowns running he's had.
Well, the whole team hasn't been scoring touchdowns.
He gets his catches and he does that horizontal game, you know, I guess. Does those catches. So I know that very well because the Bills' running game used to be exactly that for a long time.
Yeah.
Just throw it out to the running back. That's the run game.
You got James Cook now. He's tearing it up.
Oh, yeah, he's been doing good. If he can come out of a big game, it's going to be very well for the Bills. Talking about impact, I mean, about those impact players. I mean, I went very different with my picks. For the Bills, I don't like to go Allen. Allen's too obvious for me, just because it's like, if he has a big game, it's hard to lose.
Right.
But I went more with the offensive line, Spencer Brown. He's going to
Okay.
be going up against, because I know, like, he's a linebacker. He's really a D end at this. They said linebacker on your page, but I know he's a D end for Josh
Right.
Allen. That's
Yeah.
what he is.
Yeah, he's an
Okay?
edge rusher. Yeah.
He's never inside. He's always
Right.
outside. So,
Yeah.
if he can have a big game, like, that's gonna be huge. And I know they're gonna pick on Spencer Brown because he's the weakest link at this point on the outside.
Mhm.
He's so, but they've been doing a lot of chips with our tight ends to help him out. And I think that's kind of why Dawson Knox hasn't really been doing too much, because he's more of the blocker than Kincaid, and they've been having 12 personnel so much this year for the Bills. It's crazy, which I love it because it makes it so much easier for the line to be more stout. He's mine for the offense for the Bills. If Spencer Brown has a good game, I know for a fact that the other side's gonna be solid. Left tackle is usually pretty decent,
Yeah.
and I don't have any issues with him. He Dion can have has a play or two where he's maybe not the greatest, but he's usually pretty stout. And defense wise, I had it's gonna be Dane Jackson or Kyrie Elam. They're gonna one of them's gonna have to play. I know it's gonna be Dane Jackson in the beginning, but they're gonna have to play solid ball with it, because if they can't, your wide receivers can cook. I mean, they have the ability to do that,
Yeah.
and they're gonna try to pick on the CB2, whoever the hell it is, because Benford's gonna be one.
Yeah.
So if they can't come up and rise to the cream of the crop, it's gonna make it harder for the Bills to win this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they may change strategies this week, but what the Jags have done the last 4 weeks is they actually don't switch Josh Allen and Travon Walker, our other edge rusher. They don't change what side they're on depending on the tackle. So Josh Allen plays the strong side. Travon Walker plays the weak side. So I think most of the game you're going to get that Deion Dawkins, Josh Allen matchup, which I think is good. I mean, that's the two best players, I think, on the defense. And there we go. Let's crack helmets and see what happens. And then you're going to see that Spencer Brown, Travon Walker matchup on the weak side, which don't know how that's going to go, because Travon Walker has his moments. He's a really good against the run. He's still developing pass rush moves to get pressures on the quarterback. Really athletic. I mean, probably one of the most athletic guys on the field. So that edge versus tackle matchup is going to be. I'm with you there, but I think it's going to be good on good, which I like to see. So they haven't in the past been moving them around too much. It's been like Josh Allen's on the strong side, Travon Walker's on the weak side. So however that matches up for the tackle situation is going to be the matchup. For me, Josh Allen kind of talked about it on defense. On offense, for us, it's going to be probably Travis Etienne, because obviously, Trevor Lawrence is the easy answer, like you said. But if there's one spot that Buffalo has had issues, and it's not even really fair, because Buffalo gets up on people so quickly that the teams no longer run the ball. But their run defense has been like the spot where you might be able to get them. I think they give up like almost 6 yards a carry. Something, and again, I know hasn't been a lot of carries against them because of the situation, but if the Jags can establish the run with ETN and somehow keep the Bills' offense off the field, run with Trevor, right? Get him on those third and mediums to pick up first downs, tire out those Bills pass rushers, make them have to go conservative because they're worried about draws, screens, and zone reads. I think that's the only way the Jags have a chance to win. So that the run game, I guess. I know that's kind of generic, but ETN's spearheading it. But I think that's going to be the only way.
It's funny. I went Josh Allen for you guys too. On that side, in my notes I had have the game like the last match. If he has a game similar to that,
yeah,
he can havoc that whole damn game.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I put Trevor Lawrence on mine only because with the pressure that there's going to be pressure against him, and it's going to be how he handles that pressure. If he can't handle that pressure, even with doing runs, he's going to get swallowed up back there, and he might make a mistake. He might not, but if he can handle the pressure well, it's going to give you guys an advantage, because it doesn't matter how much pressure we get back there if we can't get home. We have been getting home lately, but he's mobile enough to kind of escape and big enough to escape. So it all depends on how he handles that pressure back there. If he tries to flee too quick, it's gonna hurt. But if he's able to step up nice, or it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be kind of on him how he handles the pressure and if he handles it well. He's been doing good, but the Bills' natural front forward pressure coming in has been disgusting lately. So I mean,
I
it
could
could be
see Ed Oliver having a big day. Yeah,
and Oliver
I
is
could see
gonna
him having a big day.
put up that center. And
Yeah.
if he plays like he did against the center for the Dolphins, it's gonna be.
I mean,
I was laughing because the Dolphins had a picture of their center and how he was doing it. His legs were so widespread. He's like, "This was our center the whole game." It's like, yeah, you can't have that.
I mean, our interior O line has been our weakness to this point. That's why it concerns me. So I don't know what I mean, they're gonna have to run screens and draws and quick passes just to kind of try to take. But you can't do that forever. When you get in third and medium and third and long, which every team will get into eventually, you can't do that. And then that's when those guys will feast. So we'll see. We will see.
It's gonna be. I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, it's early in the morning. I think, which I don't mind it.
Right.
It's just gonna be wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and you're gonna have that game right then. It's just
Mhm.
gonna be like and it'll give you a chance to watch the rest of the games as well. I mean,
Yep.
kind of see what you have kind of coming up. You can watch your opponents and stuff like that for the next week, so on and so on. But I mean, you see enough of these London games. You know how it works.
We only do one a year, except for this year.
One game a year. The past 4 years, at least one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't make it to the Sunday night game last week because we did brunch for the Jags game, and we did not make it to the Sunday night games. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I mean, if you're going hard enough watching the game, I mean, it's hard to make it. I mean, you're sleeping by that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, the night game ended up being more spectacular than I thought. I mean, there's I'm interested to see how the refs start going with with having the Swifties over there on that side.
Yeah.
That reffing was worse than usual.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not getting too off topic on.
We can talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift if you want. We can do that.
I'm good with that because that's a deep rabbit hole because I mean there ain't no way none of those holds were going against an offensive lineman. He was dragging him down and choking him out, and it's like, oh, that's fair. You're good to go.
Well, you're good.
They actually had a good play on that. No, we're good. Oh, you got an interception. Oh, hold
Yeah.
you know, that game was wild for me personally because I was like, I didn't really get a chance to watch too much of it, but when I saw the replays of the picks that Mahomes did have, I was like, those are like those weren't the typical oh it got hit. No, those were like you floated it to the only defensive player in the field in that area.
He looked bad against the Jags. I mean, they won, but he looked bad. So
and against the Jets, he looked worse. I mean,
yeah,
the Jets had good defense, but he was floating the pass up like it was going to a guy wide open, and it was
nobody there.
the defender was the only one in the spot in the zone. It's just looking. I'm like, what is that? You don't expect that from him. Usually he's like gunning it in, or like the floater. It's down the field further where you have the separation. I was like, it just seemed weird that.
Yeah. Hey,
but
I'm not mad at it.
That thing that like I got it because the Washington Commanders I was following. Command this was like they did like their team versus other team wins if, and I like the opposite. I mean, I like to see if people more like the Bills Jags lose it.
Yeah.
Like, it gets you. It's more of a different mindset of like things have to go right. If they don't, kind of don't.
Yeah.
I like that aspect because it's like I'm more of a glass half full guy, but this is more. It gives you this thinking more,
right?
More critical thinking on your team. Be like, if we can't do this, we're not going to win the game. If we let this happen. For the Bills side, I think the Bills lose this game if they abandon the run too quick. If I know you guys have been better, you guys have been one of the better teams kind of stopping the run. I mean, besides Texans, but I mean, you guys that was more through there. But you guys have a pretty decent run defense. It's at least top 10, I think, when I look down there.
Yeah.
You guys have a good run defense, and if we can't get a run game going, and then it's also getting that pressure from Josh Allen on the side, it's not gonna be a great game for the Bills. It's gonna make it a lot closer than it has to be, and it's gonna be whoever makes a mistake. And if we get into a situation like that, like you said, your cornerbacks aren't slouches; they can take advantage. So that's where I think on the Bills side. And on the Jags, I said the Jags lose if the defense allows the Bills' run game just to go off. Like if Cook gets over 100 yards again on the ground, it's good. If you have that going already, it's going to be hard to be able to have a spy for Allen, one. And then on top of it, defend the middle of the short passes. It's just you're going to have to stack the box a little bit more, and then it's just not going to be fair. Unfortunately, because Diggs has been roasting the best of the best.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he probably is one. He is probably the best receiver. So, I mean, it makes sense.
He's the best receiver we have.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
I'm talking to the league.
He's been better at catching balls lately. He's not dropping as much, and he's coming up with big plays. And it's just, if that run game starts, if you let the run game go and we can just keep running it and keep running the clock, it's going to be a long, long game.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like I was saying earlier, the Jags, if they're gonna win, they need several things to go right. So I think the Bills lose if they allow our Josh Allen to wreak havoc on your Josh Allen, and not just that, but the offense will need to control the clock. So like we need probably both those things to happen. So we need to disrupt Josh Allen's pocket, make him, whatever version of flustered that he is. And then additionally control the clock with our run game, short passing game, horizontal passing game, whatever it is. So the Bills lose if that happens, I think. The Jags lose if they cannot score points, which I know sounds like super generic, but we've been really good about getting the ball to the red zone and then really bad about punching it in. So if we do that, if we move the ball to the red zone and then we just keep kicking field goals, I mean, freaking Brandon McManus was the special teams player of the week last week. It's like, dude, come on. Like, we don't want that. Like, so like we need to score touchdowns. So the Jags lose if they don't score touchdowns. And that sounds super generic, but the offense has to finish the job. But it's a tough uphill road for the Jags. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Jags fans are delusional and think that like, that we're going to win. Like, we're going to need a lot of things to go right. Obviously, any given Sunday in the NFL, with the London factor could factor in as well. But Bills are a good team, man, and they're one on the schedule. When our fans looked at it, we pretty much penciled in an L. So we need things to go right for us, and hopefully they do.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do too much, honestly. I think you guys are. It's not that bad because you guys are only 5.5. Like, we're only 5.5 point favorites in this game.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL is thinking the same thing. It's like, what can they do in a sense? You know what I mean? I think that's how everyone's looking at it. It's like, what are these Jags gonna do? Like, 'cause I think most people think the Bills coming off a big game. They're going all over there. Travel may come into play, and Jags been there. They know the stadium very well, and they're gonna have the crowd on them. I know a lot of Bills fans are going over there too, but they're gonna have the crowd.
Yeah.
If you guys have been going over there so often that it's not a bad thing. I just think they're gonna have that. They're gonna have the edge of like the crowd, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because UK fans, they're picky, but for a fact that they are rooting more towards the Jags. They're over there too. They're over there enough that they're going to want. They like them enough.
Yeah. I mean,
it just seems obvious.
I mean, the Bills with they're second in offense, they're second in defense in the whole NFL. This is a stat I was just kind of looking through again. I was looking at some PFF stuff, and they have like the passing breakdowns of like the certain grids on the field and where the quarterback's percentages are on all those grids. For 10 yards and under, Josh Allen is 78 for 85. Like, that is just mind-blowing to me. 78 for 85. So that's 7 incompletions on 85 passes. So that's where I'm just like, well.
I'll say that. So I'm just messing with something real quick.
Oh, you're good.
So let's go into our score prediction. I'll just get my little. I didn't get my the same game parlay. I was just going to come in here with it later. But score predictions. I want to hear yours first, because it threw me off when I had Command this on, and it was like the Commanders weren't a bad team at that point.
Yeah.
And I got happy when they had like 2 out of the 3 guys say the Bills are going to win. I'm like, this is just jinxing the Bills. I don't like. It's not just like conspiracy. I'm just like, I just don't like when the other team just roots for my team that much. Like they're honest. They go, it can be a close game, but I see the Bills winning. But I was like, I just don't like that. But I just want to see your mindset on it and see what you think.
I actually really dislike giving score predictions, only because I'm never right. Like,
well, what do you think?
Yeah, no, and I will. I'm just telling you. Because the people that watch my channel will give me crap for being like, "Oh, you always talk crap about score predictions." Well, I don't care. I think it'll be close to Vegas line, because Vegas is always right. Like, what capacity will that look like? Like, I can sit here and say it's going to be, 32, to 42 or something like that. But it could be like 10-17, and it's like, okay, there's Vegas is still pretty close, and like, it's like you never know. I think it'll be a little bit high scoring either way. I think it'll be a super weird score. So I'll say 28-35 Bills.
Yeah, I like that. It's close. To kind of where I was at. I had it at Bills 37, Jags 20. I just think we're going to get up so much, and not that you guys aren't going to score points.
Right.
It's just going to be more like you guys are going to abandon the run probably by like third quarter. If we get up like I think, and it's just going to be a game of us just kind of keeping the ball away from you as best as we can. I think if we're able to do on the run game like I think we can, then it's just going to be how the night's going to go. But I think it has the potential to be really close.
Yeah.
I think it has the potential to be a cover, and like, because the Bills seem to always get shocked by the Jags. It's just one of those teams.
Yeah.
Like the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, look at last time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's just one of those teams that the Bills just like, it doesn't matter. But I think we're coming in too hot for it to really affect, like, for us to have a down game. But who knows? It's not inevitable. It's not inevitably going to happen. But
right.
I think coming off that game and having Von Miller president in there, it's just going to make the energy. They're just going to have too much energy to be like overlooking you guys. I don't think they're going to overlook you. They're going to remember.
Yeah, no way.
They're going to know what happened the year before, I think. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, it's funny because like my mind always goes to whenever I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, it's always a low scoring game. Whenever I think it's gonna be a low scoring game, it's gonna be a high score. It's like always the opposite of what I think. That's why I say I hate score predictions, because now the game is gonna be like 10-17. We're gonna be like, oh wow, it was a good defensive battle. Like, I'm glad that it was.
Last one, Phil. I'm gonna get to your spot to talk about your channel and stuff, but I got the same game barley breakdown. I just did a simple 5-leg one, put $2 down. It's not like super drastic like I had before, but I went more on the safer side of things. I got this little. It's not crazy. Like I said, it's $2. I can win $60.
Yeah.
I like doing high risk, like low risk, high reward bets. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not just doing a 3-leg parlay. It's hard for me to pick 3.
Yeah.
It's bad, but I altered the spread because I with my prediction, I think the Bills are going to come out, and I think they're going to have enough to win by like 2 touchdowns. And that's not. I think you guys have a great team. I just think our defense and like with the offensive play currently, the line play, I think they're just going to have an advantage on that. So I took that. I just boosted it to 13. I wasn't going any higher because I still think that's a little high, but I'd like the odds on it.
Yeah.
Over,
I mean, that's more than double the Vegas line. So yeah.
Oh, but like I was gonna do plus 20 on the.
Oh, okay.
I should have.
Yeah.
But and same thing for the Dolphins. I went very conservative, so I'm bumping it up just to give myself a little bit of a
Sure. Yeah.
plus 200 almost for that. I was like, okay, easy. Then I had Allen over 260. Like I said, that's more conservative, and I think he gets that even when we just dump it down. So we've been getting a lot of yak, and I don't think that's unnecessarily like overly far fetched. I like that for me personally. Then I got I, I don't I saying James Cook getting 60 yards is a lot. Last week he didn't get much. I think that's why 60 plus was so high in odds. But
Yeah, it's
we're
pretty
gonna
high.
get him these yards if we're gonna really kind of control the game. So that's I need that to happen at this point, really. But I'm going more Bills, but I couldn't find much on your guys' tight end. If there was something on Evan Ingram, I would have easily put this down, but I put the thing in yesterday.
Hmm.
I was like, there wasn't much going bet wise for this. I was like, I like kind of evening it out, like
Yeah.
2-3 or 3-3. But
I might take what did Josh Allen have last time? Our Josh Allen, what do you have? Like 4 sacks, a pick 6, a fumble touchdown. What would be the parlay for what he did last time against y'all?
yeah, exactly. It's funny because I went defensive on my other bets this last week. You can do tackles plus assists. I was like, this is right up my alley. I like weird things like this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is cool. This is cool.
He's definitely getting at least 5 tackles with 6. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not shown on here. Like, I got Kincaid for over 2.5 receptions. He's been
Yeah, I
for
see it.
3
Yeah.
to 5, which I think is doable. But I do have Christian Kirk for over 54.5 yards.
Okay.
I think he's going to get receiving yards. It's not even if we're up or down, he's going to get yards.
Right.
He's going to get catches. He's going to get targets. And with him being maybe like he's going to be the top wide receiver out there, I'd rather go for yards than targets because a lot of stuff gets defended when you're being like mainly targeted, especially against the Bills. So, like, but what do you think about it? Is there anything you would like heavily doubt? I mean, obviously,
No, I mean, listen, if I were in your position, I would probably make these same bets. Like I said, the Bills are a good team. 13 points is a lot in the NFL, but you guys just beat the Dolphins by 20. So, or whatever beat them by was 20 or 30. And then, you know, I can see it. You know, I mean, the Bills are a good team. The Jags do play the Bills well, you know, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. In the past, we've had a little bit of success. I mean, we were pretty disappointed with Josh Allen his first like 3-4 years, but the only time he ever played well was against the Bills. So it was like, you know, one of the things where it'll be interesting to see, but it'll depend on which Jags team shows up. You know, like we know who the Bills are. The Bills are good. The Jags have the potential to be good, and the Jags have the potential to be bad. So depends on which team shows up. If the bad Jags show up, all of these lines probably hit. I think I lost your audio. I think I lost your audio.
I feel comfortable.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So I like to put these bets down. Like I get so close where like I got 5 or 6 leg and I get 1 leg or 2 legs where I'm like 2 catches too short. Like that, like a couple weeks ago, that Giants game, where they took the offense out with 2.5 minutes left. That screwed my bet.
Yeah.
All I needed was Slayton to get 8 more yards receiving, and the tight end to get 2 more catches, which he had dropped the thing before that. I was like, that will happen in 2.5 minutes in garbage time.
Yeah.
They're gonna be playing so far back off, it's not gonna be funny. And it's like
They take him out.
and they just took the people off the field. I was like, oh god damn. Like, everything else hit. My 2 touchdowns hit and everything. And I was like, but yeah, I don't know. That's just how I like to do mine. I like to do
I like it, man.
Low
It's
risk, high reward.
ballsy.
I'm not putting $30 down on a bet that
Right.
that $30 can win me 50. I was
Right.
like, I'm sorry, not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Those
took
sometimes don't happen.
I took whoever for tonight catches. I can't remember who it was. Whoever's playing tonight, I can't remember. But I don't do the parlays. I always lose the parlays. Oh, I took McLaurin like 1 touchdown.
I don't have it written down, but I kind of split it between. I went more Washington than anything, but I did split like with some catches and receiving yards and stuff for the.
Yeah.
This game is I'm not watching it yet. I'm sure it's not a pretty sight of a game.
Well, the Bears were up 27-3 at halftime. So.
Oh my God. It's horrible. You can't even.
Yeah. So.
It's the exact opposite where I was like, Washington's a good team. They should be able to do something. Jesus. Oh man. Oh, okay. We can get this up. But so definitely go check out Jaguars. I was like, I tagged you in a post for Instagram. I was like, oh, it's different than his Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It was taken. That one was taken on Instagram. So
go check him out there. He does a lot of good content. You post. I think you said you do Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yep.
He puts the live streams up Tuesdays and Fridays. Go check him out. You got the floor. You can say what you want.
No, man, I'm just excited, man. I appreciate you having me on. It was really fun talking to you. You know, if we meet in the playoffs, we'll have to do another show again. But looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna be wrapping up here. Yeah. Obviously, go Bills, and it's gonna be. I'm excited for this game. Like I said, if you want me on Friday, you just let me know. I can jump on. If not, and you got your own thing going. So
yeah,
shoot me a text if you want me on or not.
Yeah, I will, man. I'll text you.
Okay. Well, you have a good night.
All right, man. See ya.
Well, that was Jaguars United. I mean, honestly, the guys that was a really great conversation. I know it kind of went long-winded with kind of hearing about the fandom side of it, but personally, I love that. I like hearing how their viewpoint of it and kind of on some tangents, but great stuff. I love getting content on here where it's reaching other fans and kind of pulling them in. But that's gonna be it for me, guys. You guys have a good night. Peace and go Bills.